You're listening to Field Day with Katie Black.
That was good.
Okay, what up? Welcome to Field Day with Katie Black. I'm honored. Today I have with me.
Luther Broughton.
What up, Luther?
Oh, just another day in the neighborhood.
No, I feel you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
And also, before I get into your career and your life, I know Ed Smith.
Really? That's my guy, man.
Yes.
I played with Ed in Philly for a little while, and we've stayed in touch. Good guy. Really good guy. I was on his show 2 weeks ago.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so good guy, man. I can't wait to get back out to Arizona so I can link up with him.
Oh my gosh, he's been awesome to me.
That's good. He's a good guy. I'm not surprised at all.
Oh, I love to hear that. All right, Luther. So first off, I know this is corny, but I see that you're a Sagittarius. Do you play into any of that?
No, not at all. I mean, the only thing my birthday is that's kind of I play into is it's a Thanksgiving birthday. So
Mm-hmm.
it's always some, not always, but a lot of times it's some built-in vacation already set. I'm already not working,
Mm-hmm.
possibly with family, so it's
Vacation
cool. But
mode.
I'm not really into that. The
That's fair. That's
signs or
fair. I get
whatnot.
it.
But hey, I don't have anything against it either.
Well, just fun facts. I'm a Sag too, so
Oh, cool. When's your birthday?
I'm the December 10th.
Oh, yeah.
So
I'm
right in
November
there,
30th. Yeah, 10 days.
in between all the holiday fun. I don't know. I think it's fun.
Yeah, it's cool. At least it's not, mine isn't that close to Christmas where I get that
Yes.
double dip
Yeah.
birthday. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't like that.
I know, I know. I still kind of feel it too. But anyways, I record in advance, you guys, that like we're approaching Halloween, and then I feel like once Halloween hits, it's over.
Nah,
It's
it comes fast. Yeah, it does. That's what
okay.
she said.
So I always ask, where were people
Uh,
born slash where'd you grow up? So
okay,
I
you're gonna have to edit that one out.
no, please, come on, please.
All right, fine.
Come on. So I know you were born in Charleston. Did you stay there, or were you just born and then relocated, or?
I was born in Charleston. I grew up in Berkeley County, which is the neighboring county. I'm from the sticks. And I'm proud to be from the sticks. I know a lot of times people will ask me if they're not from this area. I'll
Mhm.
say Charleston, but I'll clarify. I claim what I claim. I claim where I'm from. I'm country boy, love where I grew up, love my past, and but if I'm like when I lived in Jersey, Philly, people would ask me, and I would go Charleston. I would go. I was born in Charleston, but because no one knows where Hughie, South Carolina is outside of
So,
us.
yeah.
So, but yeah, I was born in Charleston. I grew up in Berkeley County, which was, I don't know, 20, 15, 20 miles. I don't,
Right.
not even that far. So
Well,
yeah, I'm a Carolina kid.
what's up? Me too.
Where are you from?
Okay. I'm born and raised in Charlotte.
Oh, you are a Carolina girl.
I know. I know people are like, "Where's your accent?" I'm like, I have no idea. I lived in Florida for a little bit. I
Well, I've lost most of my Charleston accent, so
mhm.
yeah.
It is what it is. I have noticed, I will say though, when I get around other real Southerners, it comes up a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. When I'm home, it's easy for me to it's easy to come back because everyone else is talking like that. Everyone in we have our own accent. We have our own speak down there, and it's
Hmm.
when I see someone when I'm outside of the South and I see someone, they can tell. But when I'm home, it's not nearly as thick as anyone at home. So I've been gone for since I was 17.
Right.
So there's that.
Anthropology essentially, and was wondering, since you are from the South and I know you played up north, What do you appreciate? Do you appreciate the southern kind of gentleness, or do you appreciate the northern, I'm gonna tell you like it is?
I appreciate both, but I really think I kind of appreciate more the I'm going to tell you like it is. I rather dance with the devil I know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want the devil to be hidden right in front of me. Oh, you're so nice from the South, and meanwhile, two steps later, they're like, oh, I hate his face. Like,
Right.
I don't like that. I am pretty blunt,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which sometimes, people don't like that, especially like in a professional environment. But I'm not, because especially here in the South, it's taken as rude. And it's like, no, like that's what you want to hear. You want to know that, right? If you're asking me if your outfit is cool, what do you really want the answer from me, or do you want confirmation? If we're friends and you're asking me if your outfit is cool and I don't think it is, I'm gonna be like, dude, you need to change. I don't see anything
Oh, I
wrong with
know.
that.
I
Like,
know. I
I
understand.
prefer you tell me, Luther, what are you wearing? Like, what is that? And I can go, oh, is it that bad? And yes, before I get outside and someone else sees me and go, what is he wearing? That's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not rude. I'm not offering up, I don't know, fashion advice, but amongst friends, we're honest, and I prefer honesty. I know sometimes that will rub people the wrong way, but whatever. I don't want to continue to make the same mistakes over and over and over because you're being nice to me. What if I always come in the office and I'm just picking a body part here. I'm not and I say, "Ooh, I look at your cute nose." What if you really have a problem with your nose, right? And I'm saying this over and over again, and it's bringing attention to your nose, and on the inside, you just want to scream, right? And we work together, and we've been working together for 5 years, and I've been doing this for 4 years. You have 4 years of just wanting to punch me in the balls, right? Instead of you just saying, Luther, I don't like that. I'm sensitive about my nose. You're not saying, Luther, I hate you. You're just, that's a correction that's needed.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times people don't do that. And I don't understand it. I don't understand. It's just, that's not rude. It's not mean. I don't hate you. It's just, I don't like that. And we're fine. But
Keep it moving, right?
yeah, I keep it moving. And so to answer your question, I do like I'm from here. I moved back. I stayed. Clearly like it here, right? But I prefer the honesty. Just be blunt. Tell me you don't like me. Tell me you like me. Tell me,
What's up? Yeah.
and then I can avoid you. If I'm in a group and let's we're at work and we have this lunch crew and we're always going out with five people and there's the one person who just doesn't like me. I don't know this. We're all together. I'm being cordial. I'm talking to this person. Meanwhile, she doesn't want to talk to me. I don't know. I can avoid this by just not going to lunch with that crew. Or that person could have, but they decide not to tell me. They want to fake it and be fake nice. Like I don't
Mm-hmm.
want that.
Right.
I can stay away. If it's my wife who doesn't like me, like that's a problem. If it's a person from work who doesn't, that's not much of a problem. We can just go on our merry way.
No, I agree. I mean, yeah, I appreciate him. And I think when I was younger, I'm not sure, but I think as I've gotten older, I'm like, tell me like it is. It'll save us a lot of time.
You're right. I cared before I was bothered, but not before. Like I'm 47 years old. I'm about to be 48. But
Hmm.
I remember there was a time where I was bothered. I wanted everyone to like me. Like, oh, why don't you like me? I was nice. Like, I don't care. I promise you, I don't care. I'm not mean. I don't care. We could all still be happy.
Hmm.
So,
True
uh,
that, true that. And also too, on that note, before I move on, I always tell people, don't ask a question you don't want the answer to, right?
correct.
Boom.
Correct. Don't ask a question you don't want the answer to. If you want the answer, if you want, we can be honest. Like, I'll tell you. So,
Hmm. True that.
whatever.
Hashtag Sagittarius.
True, true, true.
Point did you start playing ball slash when did you know
Oh
that you were good at
gosh.
it?
I've been playing. I probably had a ball out of the womb, like,
Hmm.
and that's kind of I have a very athletic family,
Hmm.
and I'm not saying this to try to be modest. I was the one that ended up playing the NFL. I wasn't the best, and I played ball because one, my cousins, both of my grandparents
Hmm.
had over 10 kids.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome.
So we all grew up kind of in the same area. So it was a ton of us. So there
Yeah.
was always something to do, and we were always playing ball or riding bike or whatever, right?
Hmm.
Country boys, we're in the woods, we're playing ball, we're riding bike, and there was a ball around. So my cousins were good, so I wanted to do what they did, right?
Hmm.
I wanted to do what they did, and I started playing ball, and I grew into it. I'm not a small guy. Even you don't have to be big, but I grew into it. But the thing that's funny is I'm a basketball junkie. I played football professionally, but I'm a basketball junkie. That's all I wanted to do. I quit in high school, and my football coach talked me back into it. I almost quit in college, and it's not because I dislike football. It's because all I wanted to do my entire life was play basketball. But to answer your question, I can't tell you when it started. I've always had a ball in my hands. I was a bit of a nerd. I was a bookworm, but I had a ball in my hand, a ball in one hand, a book in the other hand. So it was easy for me to be like my cousins.
Um,
Yeah,
so it's just essentially part of your life.
it was part of my
Always.
life. Yeah,
Hmm.
it was a ball around. We had a ball around. If we didn't have a basketball goal, we would stick one up on a tree. Like we found a way.
Hmm.
We would play what we called it baseball, but really stick ball. And we would make our bases. We would. It was just like any other league. It's home field rules. That's a home run over here where there's a lake. We can't go in there, so that's a home run. That's a foul at Miss So and So's house. Like,
Hmm.
so we balled, and that kept us out of trouble. Like we balled. The only trouble we get into was fighting during the games. Like, who doesn't do that? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. You said
little
that
squad.
in college you went to Furman, played ball there, and you said that at one point you wanted to quit or you did quit and
Oh,
came
I
back to
wanted
it.
to quit. I wanted to play basketball. I quit in high school. I quit in high school,
Okay.
and my high school coach talked me into coming back. But when I ended up at Furman, I wanted to play both sports, and it's a serious business. It's not high school where you can not be halfway in one, halfway out of the other. And I didn't realize that because I was 17 years old when I got to college. I skipped a grade, and I was young, and I thought it was easy. You can just play both sports. It's not. So once I realized
You had to pick.
that I wanted to play basketball, it was like, I want to play basketball. I'm gonna transfer and play basketball. And hey, basketball helped me be who I am though. So it's here I go. Here I am.
Wrap up college. I have talked to athletes for a little bit now and was wondering, since you have a love of both sports, do you feel like one sport is more camaraderie? You know what I mean? Do you feel that your teammates more in
I
one
think
than the other?
I swear I think it's football, and it's because it's just more of us.
Hmm.
It's just more of us, and it's basketball guys are different from football guys. Basketball guys are more, in my experience, more
Hmm.
prima donnas, more sensitive, pretty boys. Football guys, they're just
Like, let's go.
let's go crazy. Half
Hmm.
of us are fat, and we don't care, and not vain.
Hmm. I love that. Very
Oh man.
Okay, so obviously wrapping up, like you go to end college, is that something that you're preparing to go into the NFL, or like how does that merge over?
Okay, so we get to college, and you know, you take your 3, 4, 5 years, whatever you do, and
Hmm.
at some point you realize you might be able to play on that level. I went to Furman. We didn't have a guy play in the NFL drafted for 15 years before me, right?
Hmm.
I didn't go to Furman with the idea that I was going to the NFL.
Right.
Okay. So there was a guy from my high school, Robert Porche. He was a first round pick of the Lions, and he called me. He was at our high school one day. I was home. I don't know. It might have been after Christmas, whatever it was. And my mom said, "Hey," we called him LB for Little Bob, even though he was a giant. And my mom said, "LB's in so and so's class. He wanted to talk to you." And he said, everybody called me by my middle name at home, which is Richard. My dad's name is Luther. So I didn't answer to Luther, which was funny. When I got to college, people thought I was rude because I didn't answer to Luther because no one called me Luther for 17 years. So I had to get used to it. It was funny. Coach was like, "You don't hear me?" And I was like, "Oh, shoot. I told you guys
It doesn't
that
register.
it
Yeah.
doesn't register." But anyways, so he's like, "Rashard, you can play in our league. You can play on Sundays. You got to give up that basketball, man. There are no 6'2", 250 point guards in the NBA." And I'm like, huh? Like, so then I got back to Furman, and my coach was Bobby Johnson, and he had gone to Clemson for 1 year to be the defensive coordinator, and he came back as the head coach at Furman. And he
Hmm.
called me in his office, and he said, "Look, Luther, when I was at Clemson, obviously a Power Five school, NFL scouts there all the time." He said, "Look, I had coaches coming in asking me about my kid, which from Furman." He said, "Everybody wanted to know about my kid from Furman. Can he play? Is he really that good?" Uh, because we think he's good. What you've seen him in person, you've had him for a few years. I think he can play on Sundays. And coach came in and he said, "Luther, when, are you going to give up basketball? Are we going to focus on football? Because I think you can play on Sundays," right? Which is code for playing in the NFL, if you don't know what I'm saying. um, Viewers. Um, but so I finally was like, all right, like maybe I can play on Sundays. So I gave up basketball. I played basketball at Furman. I played the 1 year, and then I ended up not going back out because I wanted to put it all into football. And it's a grind. Because at Furman, that's not some institution where you can just drag through classes. You're gonna have, it's the athletes are not getting by. You're gonna have to study. So I put all my focus in the books and football, and we had a strength coach who was a machine, and his name is Joey Batson. He's now the strength coach at Clemson. He's been at Clemson since after my senior year. He went to Clemson. He's still there. He's a freaking legend. I got lucky and I had him for 3 years, and he turned me into a man. He treated me tough. He was tough with me, tough love, but all love. Still talk to him. And I focused and I trained and I ran and I lifted and I trained and I ran and I lifted. And after the season, I didn't get invited to the combine, to the NFL combines, which was disappointing because I felt like I was one of the best tight ends available. But I was like, whatever, we can, we'll figure this out. And I ended up getting drafted out of Furman, and nobody had been drafted out of Furman for, I don't know, 13, 15 years, and I didn't even get invited to the combine. So that, like, I felt like I proved something
You
there.
drafted in 97, is that correct, with the Eagles?
I got drafted in 97 by the Eagles in the fifth round, pick 155. And I spent time with the Eagles. And at the end of the season, we had a ton of injuries. And I got cut and put on the practice squad, and the Panthers, they actually wanted to draft me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, After I talked to them, they said they told me they wanted to draft me, and they will be scouring the waiver wires. If the Eagles cut you, we're gonna sign you. And what's funny is I was at Furman. We had played San Francisco. I was visiting Furman because I wasn't playing. I wasn't going to dress, and I didn't travel. And so I'm at Furman, and crazy coincidence. I get there, and this guy is looking at me. He's watching practice, and he goes, "Luther?" And I go, "Yeah." And I get closer, and it's Chris Polian. Chris Polian is the son of Bill Polian, who was the GM for the Panthers. And he said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "I know this sounds terrible, but I've been hoping that the Eagles cut you all year because we wanted to pick you up." And on the way to the airport, back to Philadelphia that night, leaving practice, I'm telling you how old I am. I got a page from my position coach, not a text message because I didn't have a cell phone. Most people did. I got a page on my pager, and I went to a payphone at the airport. Yes, a payphone, and called coach back, Juan Castillo. And he said he always called me Lou Man. And he's Juan Castillo. Juan's Mexican and his accent is thick. And he goes, Lou Man. I'm not even gonna try to do his accent. He goes, Lou Man. He always called me Lou Man. Did you get a call yet? And I'm like, no. He said, where are you? I said, I'm at the airport on the way back to Philly. He said, no one's called you? And I said, Coach, I don't have a cell phone. He's like, you got one of those hip things. And I was like, you mean my pager that you just called? And I said, yes. And he said, well, someone's going to call you. And apparently, obviously, it wasn't his job to tell me. It was someone in management's job to tell me that they were going to cut me and put me on the practice squad, whatever it was. So he was like, look, I forgot who it was. He was like, maybe it was Joe Banner. He was like, Joe or somebody's going to call you. He said, when you land at the airport, come to the office. I said, Juan, it's me and you on the phone. I'm not going to tell anybody. I said, what's up? He said, well, you watched the game. I said, yeah, I know we got a ton of guys hurt. And he said, well, look, we need a roster spot. We're going to cut you and put you on the practice squad if you clear waivers. And I said, I get it. I understand. I'm the fourth tight end on a packed roster. And so I get back to Philly, and call me in the office, and they're like, look, we released you, but we still like you. We think you can develop. And if you clear waivers, if no one else picks you up tonight, we're signing you back to the practice squad. Nothing changes for you. And nothing changed at all except my pay. I went from full team member to practice squad, which, but it is what it is. I'm gainfully employed. So that next day, Chris Polian, who was with the Panthers, calls my agent, and he was like, dude, I just saw Luther last night. And he was like, yeah, it just happened. And like 10 days later, he said, we're going to clear a roster spot and sign you. And I ended up in Carolina like 10 days later.
That's wild.
Yep. Yep. I ended
That's
up in Carolina
wild.
10 days later.
What was coming into Carolina like?
It was crazy because it was home.
Mm-hmm.
It was home. I grew
Mm-hmm.
up in Charleston. Grew up in Charleston. I grew up in Hugie, South Carolina, near Charleston. I went to school at Furman. You know, this was home, and I was happy to be home. But I was also like, it was the reality of the NFL. What if the Panthers didn't pick me up? What if Seattle picked me up? I would have ended up well on the West Coast. It could have been anybody. But that's the life of a football player, and especially the life of someone who isn't a star. I'm a guy who's was on near the bottom of the roster, like not your top 20 guy. It might be your I don't know. I might be your 30th guy, 40th guy out of 55. So if we need a roster spot and someone gets hurt, could be you, Luther. When I got here, it was cool because it was a new environment, a new experience, and more importantly, a new stadium. Now, when I got drafted by Philly, I was playing at the Vet. If you know anything about Veteran Stadium in Philadelphia, it was one of the crappiest stadiums ever. It was a terrible stadium. It was dirty. The weight room was small. The showers the shower was kind of lean
Oh
to
gosh.
towards the corner, and the
Yeah.
corners got was kind of clogged. And I'm like, this is gross. Because if you're in the let's say it's a square
Mm-hmm.
and the bottom left is where everything drained. It's 50-50 of us.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of us in the shower at once, but after practice, we're all going to the shower. Yo, if you ended up near that edge over there, you got stuff draining over there. Like, hopefully nobody is peeing, but it was disgust. Like, I remember, like, kind of my
Like,
first
yeah.
few my first time there, and I saw that, and I was like, this is worse than Furman. And Furman is a tiny school, and I'm like, yo, I called my cousin. I'm like, dude, the Vet is worse than what how they described. But it was our secret weapon. Nobody wanted to play there. The
That's
stadium
hilarious.
sucked. The field was hard. It
Dude,
was.
did they still have the jail there when you were there?
They did not have the jail there yet. When I first got there, they put a jail there. I forgot when it was, but yeah, I
I'm
thought that
after.
was pretty funny. It was after. Was it in the new stadium? No, it was in the Vet. It was in the Vet. So, yeah, yeah, that was Philly was fun.
My understanding, so Philly, Eagles 97, Carolina 98, and then I understand you
I
go
got
back to
traded back to
back in
Philly
99.
in '99. I spent
What?
99 and 2000 back in Philly.
And
And what
then
was crazy is I was a free agent at the end of the year, and only two teams were had much interest in me. One was the Panthers,
mhm.
and the other team was the Patriots. So, but I didn't get a contract offer from the Patriots. I got a contract offer from the Panthers first. Okay. So I signed with the team I got a contract offer with.
Mhm.
I mean, again, I wasn't some superstar. I needed to make the most of it. So that year, the Panthers had the worst record in the league, which was 1-15. We won the first game and we lost 15 straight games. And guess who won the Super Bowl that year? The Patriots. The other team that had, I mean, they didn't offer me, but they actually spoke to my agent. So I thought that was a hell of a decision. Like, but I really wanted to come home because
Mhm.
I had a house. I got traded, and I had a house that I had just finished moving into. I didn't have a lot of furniture. Like, it was so funny because I was single, and I had me and this girl I was friends with. She decided, well, she didn't decide. We decided, like, let's see if we got something going. And she came and visited me.
Mhm.
So of course she knows that I had practice in the morning. Well, it was the end of the preseason.
And what
I
year was
got
this?
this was before I got traded back to Philly. So this was
Okay.
98.
Mhm.
Wait, 97, 98, 90, 99. This was the
Okay.
90.
Okay.
I got traded that morning at practice. So I come home.
Dude.
She's visiting me from out of town.
And you're like, you gotta go.
And I'm telling her that I gotta go. I'm telling her that I have to leave in a few minutes. Like, I'm telling, so she's laughing because we joked a lot. And she's laughing. She's like, whatever, dude. What are we eating? And I looked at her, and this is before cell phones,
Mm-hmm.
before uh iPads and tablets. People, we didn't even jump on and look at the internet. It was when ESPN had the crawl on the bottom of the screen. So I freaking said, I'm serious. Let's turn the TV on ESPN. And we put it on ESPN, and it finally came over. Luther Broughton traded to the Eagles. And she was like, are you serious? My flight doesn't leave until, I don't know, it was like Wednesday,
Mm-hmm.
and that day was like Monday. And I was like, and I couldn't be more apologetic. It wasn't my fault. And I was like, I'll pay to change your flight if there's a cost. My brother went to school like 10 minutes away. And I said, look, Reggie, and Reggie will be here, because I had to leave my car. Like, my brother had to take me to the air. It was something different. Like, I never gotten traded before. So she ended up going to the airport to get her ticket changed. That day it was storming. Guess what happened?
Oh God.
Her
What
flight got canceled. I didn't know any of this until like 3, 4 years later, because
later?
she didn't want to tell me. She was embarrassed. And she said, dude, I cried at the airport. She
Oh,
said it was so overwhelming. She said,
yeah.
when my flight got canceled, I sat down on the floor and cried. I said, no way. No way. I was like, no way. She was like, yeah, I couldn't tell you this because you would tease me, because that's how our relationship was. Like, we would rag on each other all the time. We were jokesters. And that is the story of me getting traded back to Philly. So I'm like, holy cow.
Bro,
Yeah. Yeah, that was I'm still friends with her.
that is funny. That's almost like kind of like a little bit of a rom-com or something.
Oh, it was absolutely from a movie.
Yeah.
It was that doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen. And I still tease her. I still give her hell about the whole. And she said, I knew I shouldn't have told you about the last part, but she was like, yeah, I cried. She said people were just looking at
And
me.
her like walking by.
I'm like, you gotta be kidding.
No, that's a story for sure. That's a story for sure.
So
This might be an unfair question, but was there one team that you enjoyed more than the other, or were they just too different to compare?
oh, it was Philly. They
Hmm.
drafted me. They acquired me. They drafted me and they traded for me. Like, come
Hmm.
on. That's the team that drafted me,
Right, right.
right? And then you go play for a team with an enormous history. The fans
Hmm.
there are insane,
Hmm.
like sometimes too insane. But the fans there are insane. Carolina was a new football town.
Right.
They didn't have that base yet, and Philly was nuts. Your team could suck, and they're gonna pack the stadium. They're gonna pack the stadium. They're gonna be there. They're gonna boo you, but they're gonna be there. And Carolina, they were still like, didn't pack the stadium for the playoffs. Like, again, it was a new team, new city, new. I'm not a new city, but a new team for this city. So it was different.
Just the
But
history wasn't there.
the
Yeah.
history wasn't there. I mean, not that, like, Carolina still, that's my second squad, but Philly's my squad.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to double confirm, drafted in 97, you go to Carolina in 98, then you play Eagles 99 and 2000, and then you come back to Carolina in 01.
Yeah. Snip, snap, snip, snap. You
Wow.
watch The Office?
You know what's so funny? People ask me a lot. So I don't religiously watch it, but I've seen random episodes, so I do not get that. Okay,
Oh,
sorry.
you don't get that one there. Yeah, I went back and forth, Philly and Carolina.
Study weird stuff. So like from my understanding, 98 to 2000 range is where we had a lot of drama here in town. Were you around for all of that?
Oh, give me a second.
Mm-hmm.
So I was friends with Ray Caruth, if that's what you're talking about. And I had gotten traded that off season.
Mm-hmm.
And the only weekend I came back in town, that entire season was that weekend.
Mm.
And Ray and I were pretty good friends, like, but we weren't as close anymore. So that night I hung out with a couple other guys on the team because I was flying back. So I came in town Sunday because we played a maybe a 1 o'clock, I can't remember whether it was Sunday or Monday, but I didn't have to be back for practice until Wednesday. So I was here. It was a Sunday, and I didn't have to be back in Philly until Tuesday practice. So I was going back like Monday night or whatever, something like that. So remember, we were starting to get direct TV satellites, right? It wasn't as popular as it was now, and we didn't have local stations. On direct TV, you would have random local news.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes you would have local news from Denver, from LA, like whatever. So you would have to have what we call rabbit ears, put the antenna on to get your local news, right? So I'm laying down in my bed. So at this point in my life, I had a cell phone. My position coach from the Panthers, I don't play for the Panthers anymore,
Mm-hmm.
but we kept the relationship. So he is blowing up my phone that morning, right? So I'm kind of hungover.
Was that kind of red flaggy that he was blowing you up?
Yeah, because it's like, why is coach calling me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't play for the Panthers anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to talk to him again in the off season, probably when I'm back in town. But that's not your coach from your old team. They don't call you. They've got too much going on, right? So I finally answer and I'm like, Coach, bro, what's up? And he's talking to me like he's my dad at this point. He's like, where are you? And I'm like, Coach, I'm in my bed. I'm hung over, basically, right? And I'm like, he's like, where are you? And at this point, I get up. I perk up because I know there's something wrong because Coach is like a granddad. He's just not gruff, right? So he said, were you with your boy last night? And I said, who? I said, I was with Jason and Tim. So I'm thinking Jason and Tim, like they did
Something weird
something,
happened. Yeah.
right? Like after I left, and I was like, I was with Jason and Tim. He said, Luther, don't lie to me. I know Ray is your boy. Were you with them last night? And I was like, oh no. And he immediately said, so you don't know what happened? And I said, no. He said, you got one of those damn satellites, don't you? And I was like, okay, this is serious. Coach said, damn, right? He wasn't that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He said, he said, get up, get yourself some coffee, put your rabbit ears on, and call me back. So I'm not a huge coffee drinker, but I'm like, at this point, I pop up, and I always would have like a gallon of water. It was during hell when we played. I would always have water. So I grab Gatorade, grab water. I'm drinking from the gallon bottle. I get the TV on regular news, and I flip in each news station that was playing. And I called Coach back. I said, Coach, I was not with him last night. We're not as close as we used to be, or I probably would have been. And he was like, well, I think what's his name was with them. Was it Hannibal? Because Hannibal went to Colorado. He said, I need to get in touch with Hannibal. And I said, Hannibal would not have anything to do with anything like this. Um, and he said, are you sure you weren't with him? I said, no, coach, I promise you. He said, and then he said, how are you? Like he's
By
like,
the way, how you doing?
he said, you doing okay? I said, yeah, coach, I'm just in town visiting. I came to the house because I hadn't been home all season. I had to check on stuff. My brother's staying here and I'm flying back tonight. And he said, be careful, man. He's like, I love you. I hope all is going well. Wish your
Oh.
season goes well, except for when you guys play us. And I was like, all right, yo, like that was nuts.
I mean,
That was
Yeah,
nuts.
and especially for you to be here. So at that point, when you wake up the next morning, the incident had just happened the night before.
Yes, it happened that night. I was here
It's
hanging out,
crazy. It's crazy. It's
and
wild.
it was sad. It was like and I still talk to Ray. We weren't as tight as we used to be because we used to hang out all the time. But I was gone. I had gotten traded, and you know, and I was like, man, that I was pretty speechless, and I remember, and when I got back to Philly, I remember Andy Reid. Andy Reid was the head coach there.
Hmm.
Andy called me into the office. He said, Luther, I called down to Carolina, and what they're saying is you and Ray were pretty cool. And I said, yeah, we were. He said, every media, everyone in the media wants to do an interview with you. He said it was like 2020 and somebody else had called. And I was like, what? And he said, tell me what you want to do. He's like, you're an adult. We're not in college. He said, do you want to be insulated from this or do you want to take all these interviews? And I said, Andy, I don't want to be
Involved.
popular or famous or involved in any of this because I don't know anything. I was teammates and friends with Ray, and it's sad. And he said, good, we'll keep them away from you. And I didn't do it. It was sad. What was I going to say? I was just going to repeat what everyone else said. And the thing about it is, the guys on the team knew that Ray and I were pretty close. So the guys in Carolina were like, hey, his best friend on the team, before he left was Lou. And they probably were deflecting as well. They didn't want to be involved. It didn't have anything to do with them. It was pretty rough though. It was because I was also friends, I was here with Fred Lane,
And that
and
was, yeah, around the same time.
the girl I dated in college was Deirdre's first cousin.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So when that happened, I was with her, and
Mm-hmm.
we both got telephone calls like pretty
Oh,
much at the
wow.
same time. So it was nuts. My
A
cousin
lot.
was like, "Dude, you should write a book," and I was like, "No, I'm not. Are you crazy? No, these are tragedies. Like, I don't want my opinion expressed on all this. It's not. I don't want to be involved. I don't want to answer questions. You don't need my opinion on this other than it was sad. Like it was hard. Like especially Fred. Like that was difficult.
Mm-hmm.
That was really difficult. That was difficult. And but uh yeah, here we are years later. I'm talking about this and remembering my time with the Panthers. But it wasn't all bad.
Of
I
course.
know there's a lot. That's a lot. You don't just gloss over something like that. There was a lot going on at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I ended up making this home. I met my wife here. So
I'm
you
sorry, like I
understand?
said, you experienced all of that.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. It was our team. It was basically our team experienced that, but
Mm-hmm.
it was crazy that I was close to people in those situations. It was
Mm-hmm.
it was yeesh.
Just, yeah, I'm sure there's no words.
Oh, no words.
No
And
words.
of course you lived here, so you were I don't know how old you are, but you probably
I mean,
were
I was, yeah, I mean, I
young.
was, yeah, I mean, I was a kid, but I've always been like, I don't know, a news, like I've just always as a kid watched news. So I was, very well aware of.
What was going on?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, Mike Delaney.
Hey, I know, Mike.
Yeah, I connected with him last week.
Cool. Uh, Chapel Hill guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your last season in the NFL was 01, so, you know, how, I mean, obviously beyond all the, turmoil that was, you had experienced in the last couple years, what was that last season like?
It was torture. That was the 1-15 season. It was George Seifert who came in and he had the highest winning percentage in the history of the league. But when you look at the teams he inherited from Bill Walsh and his staff, you can tell why. But when he came here, it was misery. Like the people in the building just didn't really like him. He was kind of miserable. I don't want to be disrespectful
I
because
mean, I've
I think he's a Hall of Famer
okay.
or whatever.
Hmm.
He was miserable. People didn't like him, and I think they were happy to pay him to leave. And keep in mind, 2 years later, they went to the Super Bowl. After they fired him, 2 years later, they went to the Super Bowl. 2 short years later, after a 1-15 season, John Fox came and took them to the Super Bowl.
Mm.
It was tough to and look, I bounced around. I got drafted by Philly and played for Ray Rhodes. I got signed with Carolina and played for Dom Capers. I got traded back to Philly and played for Andy Reid, and then I came here and played for Seifert. And my rookie year, the offensive coordinator in Philly was John Gruden, who I like everybody. I couldn't stand that guy. I know you like I'm trying to refrain from using language here. He was a dick. Like Dirk Diggler's type. He was a dick. Um, that's one of the reasons why I ended up in Carolina because I could have stayed in Philly on the practice squad or I could have got put back up on the roster. I was so happy to leave that organization that had that I had the choice. I was not a star, but I had a choice. I had an option to be able to get out of misery. I was miserable under Gruden, and I was so happy to go and play for another staff and see how people actually got coached up. Like he didn't
Mm.
coach me up; he just talked down to me,
Oh
and it it,
no.
it, it was it was hard to play for him. But I had a good position coach in Juan
Mhm.
Castillo. Um, but I had five head, no, four head coaches because it was 2 years with Andy. Andy was easily the best. Easily, you can see why he's still coaching. Great record, great coach, Super Bowl winner. And George Seifert, out of all those guys, like I swear, we all thought he was gonna be
Like
so
so
great.
great, right? And to
He
be the
was
opposite.
awful. He had the worst personality in the world. He was just it was a story where his intern was Brandon Beane, and Brandon Beane is now the GM for the Bills. Brandon would have to make sure that he had new pancakes being poured on the griddle. Like on game day when we were having pregame meal, and Brandon would have to call his room and he would want his pancakes being flipped over as he was walking over and
Mm.
taking off the grill. And if it wasn't done right, if it wasn't done, he wouldn't wait. He would wait for them to remake his pancakes.
Dude, that makes
He
my, I don't know
was
why, but
that type of guy.
that makes my eyes water. That's wild.
Like he was that guy.
So he was a psychopath.
And no one like I have never seen a staff where you could kind of see the guys, see it
Get on their
churning.
face, yeah.
What's crazy is most of the guys from that staff
Hmm.
stayed. They were on John Fox's staff. A lot of those guys, offensive guys, when I came back, I knew most of the offensive coaches because they weren't the problem. He would meddle like the offensive coordinator would be in the middle of play calling in the game and he would chime in and call a play and we'd be in the huddle in a personnel that didn't fit the play. And
Hmm.
we all knew it. Like at some point we all figured it out and we were like, we're fucking doomed. And we were
Because
1-15.
Well, I mean, I guess that just shows that like what an important, I mean, not to sound like a dudo, but like what an important part someone like that plays that
Leadership, yes,
yes,
leadership.
yes, is everything. And that like
Yeah, it's
he
everything.
yeah.
Like I just I couldn't believe that. Like I couldn't believe that was him. I couldn't believe like
Well, why do
that
you think
was
he had such a good reputation then? Do you think it's just be
they
like
won. Okay, if you look, listen, I don't know what he did in San Francisco. I know he inherited Bill Walsh's teams, and
mhm.
he had Joe Montana, Steve Young, Jerry Rice. But if you look at his staffs, let's look at George Seiferd's staff in San Francisco. Okay,
Mhm.
I'll tell you one that I know is Mike Holmgren was one who was a Super Bowl winner. Here is his coaching tree. So you've got on his coaching tree, uh, George Seifert coaching staff. So he had on his staff Steve Mariucci. He had Mike Holmgren. He had Ray Rhodes on his staff. He had a young John Gruden on his staff. He had what's the guy's name that coach? Dick Duran on his staff. He had so many people on his staff that became
They yeah.
Super Bowl winning head coaches.
Mhm. Well, you just always wonder, just because I love to psychoanalyze anybody, is that like, were you just, you know, not saying him, but just anyone, where it's like, were you always kind of a miserable piece of shit, or did something, you know what I'm saying? Or did something change halfway through your life that made you that way? You
Well,
know?
I think he was. There's some people are arrogant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when they're successful, that just adds to it. Um, Look, I don't know the guy.
No, I understand. I
I just
understand.
don't know the guy. I can just I'm talking about my experience.
Experience, right? Right.
And my experience, it was miserable,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't the only one. Like I'm looking out there and I'm like, man, this is you can just see the guys. You can see it churning. Like people don't like that guy.
Yeah, that's I said I and like I said, I haven't been doing this long, and I've, this is not the first time I have heard that as well. So you are definitely not the only one who experienced that. So like I said, I hate to hear anyone getting, treated awful, but I think it's like a little bit tugger on my heart that it was, here in Carolina. So
Yeah. Oh, Mike Shanahan. Mike Shanahan was on that staff as well. God, that staff was stacked. Yeah,
but
he but whatever. I mean, he won and he's a legend out there. He's also an asshole. So
mhm.
that
You can be both at once. You
you
can be
can be
both
both
things.
yeah, you can be both things.
Actually, so you felt like your NFL career kind of ended on a sour note here.
Well, yeah, kind of, but I make the most of my opportunities. It is
Mhm.
what it is. But that season, I was hurt and I played the entire season with a shoulder injury. And after the season, I finally had surgery, and that was the beginning of the end because I didn't have an off season to train properly. I signed with the Bears. I was still rehabbing. I got cut from the Bears. The next year, I ended up getting cut from the Packers, and that was it. But I just don't have a lot of regrets. Do I wish I may have been possibly born 10 years later when people use tight ends, multiple tight ends or smaller pass receiving tight ends more? Sure, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I get
it,
that, but that's a positive attitude. And also think, if you were born 10 years later, no way would you have met all the same people, right?
no, and then I would have been doing different things as
Right.
well. So it's It is what it is. It worked
Yeah.
out for me.
What is that like when you transition over to like, you know,
Life,
yeah.
it's different because listen, we don't just spend 4, 5, 6 years of playing football and then it's done. You
Hmm.
start playing football when you're a kid, right?
Hmm.
And you go, most people are done in high school. You still have years of football. For me, I started playing when I was a freshman in high school, which is crazy. I quit the band to play football and I broke my collarbone the second day I ever played football in my life. Nuts. So I played football in college, high school, then college. Then I ended up getting drafted. I'm that was like, I don't know, 13, 14 years straight of football. It wasn't the only the not being in the NFL. It was not playing a competitive sport. It was just it, it was different and I had to get used to it. And it was also that was how I made a living. So it was like, okay, now I've got this gap in my resume of 7 years. I can't fill this gap in with anything. Like now I have to find a job, figure out what I want to do. And I was going through a divorce, so that kind of sucked. But it was like I probably, if I go back on, I should have, I would have coached, but who the hell knows? Who knows how that would have gone? So it was the transition is it's hard because you go from working out every day for a living. Even in the off season, I'd get up in the morning and work out 5 hours a day because someone else wants my job. Um, so if I'm not prepared to do it, I gotta, someone else is gonna take it. To let's find a job, let's fit in. It's
Hmm.
not, it's a professional organization. That's not a locker room where you're just screwing around, having fun, some crude jokes that, you know, just doesn't happen in an office space. Um, Traveling, you have the an off season where you basically need to stay in shape. I can stay in shape and traveling to Florida. I could work out every morning in Florida. I could work out every morning in LA as long as I'm working out. And the off season is free. So you have all this freedom and now it's like you're gonna take a pay cut more than likely and you don't have all this freedom. And whatever else is going on in your life. For me, I was going through a divorce and all that stuff and it was a difficult time. So,
I mean, I guess I know this is corny, but like any advice for any professional athletes that have to make that change, or is there nothing you can really do to prepare for it? It just happens.
well, the only advice that I have for people is that the NFL doesn't last long. It's never when I got drafted, I thought this is going to be 10 years. I'm going to be a star. I'm going to make a lot of money and I'm not going to have to work. But that's how you got there. You got there with confidence. You feel like you're going to be great. You're going to do this, that, the other, because that's how you got there in the first place, right? And then it's over. It's like pulling a band-aid off and it's done. So my advice to anyone is prepare from day one. Just prepare from day one that this thing could be over. Start planning. Don't sell yourself short. Have the understanding that this could end. Even if you're great, you can get it. You can be injured.
I know I've gone over the 2 o'clock mark. Can I ask you one more question?
Well, yeah, sure.
So I always like to end on like a funky out of the box vibe. So
Mm.
was wondering if you had ever seen a ghost or something spiritual that you can share.
No, no. I
I know that's like wild, but I love that question.
I'm thinking. I don't think I've. No.
That's
Um,
okay. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
he caught me off guard with that one. No, I'm really thinking of anything that's happened, but uh-uh.
That's cool.
Yeah. No, you?
Honestly, yes. Once, ironically, in Charleston in the last 3 or 4 years, um, it seemed I thought he looked just like you and I, looked to be in Civil War attire. I thought, oh, Charleston's weird. He's just reenacting, whatever. Um, and he was walking past me. We're on a one-way street, walking. He's gonna pass me. And he was gone. And I always tell people, I think the weirdest thing was, and again, there was nowhere for him to go. There was nowhere for him to go. It was broad daylight. Um, but I always tell people the weirdest thing was that I like blocked it out of my psyche for a few years until I started asking people about it. So I always say that was the weirdest part.
Wow.
I know, I know, I know. Yeah, I mean, I don't. He legit looked like he was from like my social studies book. I know.
Holy cow.
You're like, all right, Katie, good talking to you. No, I know. So I love asking people that, but
Whoa. Well,
I know.
shoot, we can end on that note, huh?
I know, right? Well, Luther, what'd you think? Like I said, I loved it. Did you have fun?
It was a good time. I've done some uh podcasts or interviews where it was like pulling teeth, and I'm like, dude, I'm not the host. I
Like
had
you
one
are.
where I'm
Yeah.
like, there was so much dead silence, and I'm like, bro, you're the host. Where are we going next? And it was tough. And I'm not mean. Like I told you earlier, I'm blunt. I I didn't, and I should have, but I didn't feel like I didn't know how I could say that, telling him how to do his job without being rude. So I just didn't say it. But I'm like, and he asked me to do it again, and I was like, I politely declined. I'm like, at that time, I was like, bro, there's no, you don't have any questions. Like you get on there and you say something, and then that's it. And
Yeah, podcasting is I always tell people podcasting is the wild, wild west. So God only knows, I think that's always like a positive thing. Like anybody could have a show. So that literally means
anybody could have a
anybody.
show, and
Yeah.
anybody and any and everybody has a show.
Hmm.
And
That is the rose and the thorn with
yep,
this industry. Thank you so much. This
you're
has
welcome.
been so fun. I'm glad you had a good time. I always try to tell people it's conversational, it's fun, it's whatever, it's stream of conscious. So I'm glad I was cool.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I appreciate you.